The Indian rhinoceros wears a hide that looks almost impossible to break. Thick plates overlap across its shoulders, neck, and legs, giving the giant the appearance of living armor. But beneath that armor, a quieter struggle is taking place. Inside the deepest folds, hard ticks have found shelter. They gather behind the ears, where the skin is softer. They press beneath the jaw and along the heavy creases of the neck. Others hide behind the front legs, across the belly and close to the base of the tail. From a distance, the rhino still looks powerful. Up close, its burden becomes difficult to ignore. The parasites cling tightly against the skin. Some are small and flat. Others have swollen after feeding for days. Each one is tiny compared with the animal carrying it together, and they create a constant irritation that strength alone cannot solve. The rhino shakes its head. Its ears flick sharply. The thick skin across its shoulders ripples, but the parasites remain. It pushes through tall elephant grass, brushing both sides of its body against the wet stems. For a moment, the grass scratches the exposed surface. The deepest folds remain untouched. The giant moves toward a muddy wallow. It lowers its enormous body into the soft ground and rolls one shoulder beneath the MUD. The thick coating spreads across its back, neck, and flanks. MUD can cool the skin. It can cover exposed insects and soothe irritated areas. But it cannot reach every mouth part already buried beneath the surface. When the rhino rises again, the armor looks cleaner from a distance. Inside the folds, the infestation is still there. The discomfort follows every step. It follows every pause. It follows the slow movement of each ear. The rhino rubs its shoulder against a rough tree. Its weight presses hard enough to shake loose bark, dust, and dry mud fall from the skin. A few exposed parasites may be crushed or displaced. The largest clusters remain protected inside the creases. The giant can defend itself against predators. It can force a path through dense vegetation. It can push through mud deep enough to stop smaller animals. But it cannot place its horn behind its own ear. It cannot reach beneath its neck. And it cannot inspect the folds hidden behind its front legs. So the rhino carries the burden in silence. Nearby, the wet grass is alive with smaller movements. Insects rise from the ground each time the giant takes a step. Two jungle Mynas begin following at a distance. At first, the birds are interested only in the insects, disturbed beneath the rhino's feet. One searches through the grass. The other waits from a low branch. Neither bird approaches immediately. The animal before them is enormous. One careless movement could end the opportunity.
Instantly, the first Myna moves closer. It catches a small insect near the rhino's front foot. Then another. The rhino does not react.
The bird advances again. A short flight carries it onto the broad shoulder. For a moment, it stands still. The rhino remains calm. The inspection begins. The Myna walks across the thick plates of skin, pausing whenever it reaches a darker fold. Its sharp eyes follow every movement beneath the mud. A small insect disappears into its bill. Then the bird reaches the base of the ear. Here the skin is softer. The fold is deeper. And the parasites are more concentrated. The Myna lowers its head. One hard tick sits exposed near the edge of the crease, and the bird grips it with the tip of its bill. The first pull fails. The parasite remains attached. The Myna releases it and changes position. Then the skin stretches slightly. The tick holds, the rhino flicks its ear. The bird jumps away before returning a moment later. The opportunity is still there. The Myna grips the parasite from a different angle. A slow pull begins. For several seconds, nothing changes. Then, the embedded mouthparts release. the tick comes free for the rhino. One source of irritation has disappeared.
For the bird, the parasite is simply food. The second Myna now joins the first. It lands near the front leg, where insects have gathered around a damp fold. The bird searches carefully. A smaller tick is exposed near the surface. One quick movement removes it. The birds spread across different parts of the body. One works around the ears and neck.
The other searches the shoulder, upper leg, and flank. They are not following a plan, they are following food. The richest clusters receive the most attention. Each exposed parasite offers another meal. Each successful pull leaves another small patch of skin uncovered. The change does not happen all at once. It appears gradually. One cleared space behind the ear, another along the shoulder. A narrow line beneath the neck where the thickest cluster begins to thin.
Some parasites release quickly, others resist. The Myna pauses between attempts. It changes its footing. It approaches from the side.
Finally, the parasite breaks free. The bird swallows it and immediately begins searching again.
The rhino remains mostly still. Its calm gives the birds time to continue. Stillness becomes useful, even though none of the animals understand the exchange in human terms.
But in human terms, the birds are feeding. The rhino is tolerating their presence. Both gain something from the same moment. More parasites disappear from the exposed areas.
The deepest pockets remain difficult to reach. Mud hides. Some thick folds protect others.
The birds cannot remove everything. This is not a complete rescue. Nature rarely offers one for one.
But the burden begins to change. The rhino flicks its ears less often.
The skin across its shoulder settles. The constant rubbing stops.
From a distance, the difference is small.
Up close, it can be seen in the spaces between the remaining clusters.
Where dozens of parasites once crowded together, only scattered individuals remain.
The birds continue until the easiest meals are gone. One returns to the ground. The other checks the fold behind the ear one final time, then it lifts away and lands in the grass. The rhino raises its head. Many ticks still remain hidden beneath the armor. More may attack in the days ahead. The struggle is not over, but for now, the pressure is lighter. The giant moves forward through the wet grass. Behind it, the two Mynas continue feeding among the insects, disturbed by its steps. Nothing here was planned. The birds did not arrive to save the rhino. The rhino did not ask them for help. Hunger brought them together. Tolerance allowed the exchange to continue. And for a brief moment on the floodplain, a burden carried by one animal became an opportunity for another.
In the wild, strength is not always enough. Even the largest body can have places it cannot reach.
Sometimes relief does not come through force. Sometimes it arrives on wings.